What is up, guys? Frosty 0232 here today for another Frosty Features. Today, we have our final member of the Spider Society team coming to Marvel Strike Force that we're going to go over, and it's going to be amazing! What this is, if you haven't seen it, is a comic book background on the tunes that you use in Marvel Strike Force, and I am your guide to the ink-soaked pages of comic books. And with that, let us begin. According to Scopely, what this is the blog post description of the character's background that is given by Scopely in our blog posts. I will rate this at the end, but for now, let's read it and see what we've got. At the age of only 9, Peni Parker inherited the mantle of Spider, or some people say SPDR. I say Spider. After the tragic death of her father, continuing the legacy within a highly advanced spider suit linked to her through genetic compatibility. The cutting-edge suit, powered by the unique bond between Penny and the spider, grants her enhanced strength, agility, and ability to weave complex web structures. Together, the pair protects New York City and the multiverse. So, we're going to go off of that. We'll rate that at the end of the feature. But for now, this is Peni Parker and Spider. As it is in the comics, they look quite a bit different. And also, that's not a 9-year-old, right? So, name Peni Parker from Earth 14512. So, we talked about this in a couple of the other Spider Society episodes of Frosty Feature, but just for clarification, the movie version from the Spider-Verse movies, they have the same Earth designations with the letter B. So, if we're talking about Peni Parker from the Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, the designation is Earth 14512B. But on Frosty Features, we talk about the comic book equivalent, even if the MSF version is specifically based off one thing or another. So, the MSF version is actually not said in the blog post which one is designated off of. See where this is going? But based on the character model, we can assume it's 14512B, but that one also is based off of the comic book version, because guess which one came first? First appearance, Edge of Spider-Verse number 5, 2014. We had a series. We've talked about this a few times in the Spider-Verse features and some other Spider Society features and some of the other Spider-Verse features. There was a big push in the 20-teens to make different reality versions of Spider-Man so that they could contribute to the Spider-Verse saga. So, in the battle with the Inheritors, which we've talked to death at this point on Frosty Features. So we're going to talk up to that here today. But this came out in 2014. Into the Spider-Verse came out in 2018. So therefore, in the event that you're considering the cinematic masterpiece that is Into the Spider-Verse a big part of canon or what have you, Peni Parker actually existed beforehand and was just kind of altered and changed and brought in it that way. Power/abilities. She has, so a lot of people, if you look, they're going to say that Peni Parker does not have powers. She does. She has a telepathic link to a spider. So, the way that this works, the creators of Peni Parker intended a different look at Spider-Man. They took the basics, so the robot does the basics, right? So the spider suit has web shooters, has superhuman strength, durability, reflexes, etc. And then Peni Parker's just a girl. Just a girl. See what I did there? Peni Parker's just a girl. She is very intelligent, but she has the way this works is there's 2 brains that operate one machine. Let's go Pacific Rim, right? So 2 brains that operate the machine, the human's brain and the spider's brain. The creator's intent was to have the spider more involved with the story than it ever was, because in all the other Spider-Man stories, the spider dies, gets stepped on, whatever. Or dies after biting, or what have you. So in this situation, there's a living spider, and it bites Penny, and in that bite, they create this telepathic link so they can work together to control the spider suit. Cool. So, Penny has one power that doesn't benefit her really in any way without the suit, and then the spider suit has all the powers. Boom, boom, boom. Great. Aliases, Spider and Spider, right? SPDR and Spider. This is not a Spider-Man situation, a Spider-Girl situation, anything akin to that. the name of the suit and the project that the suit is under is SPDR or Spider, depending on how you feel like pronouncing it at that specific moment. So nothing else really other than that. We could make the argument it's a no duel, but also Peni Parker is known as Peni Parker. So, Affiliations. Really only the Spider Army you can make the argument that they're affiliated with Oscorp, as the Oscorp in Earth 14512 is the ones that they're the ones that run the Spider mission. We don't have any interactions as of this recording date. So that's a big thing that we're going to have to be able to keep in mind. I've got a feeling, especially with the popularity of Across the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse, etc., there's going to be a lot more Peni Parker comics, but right now there's almost none. So she operates under Oscorp, and we don't know, in that Earth's reality, we don't know anything evil that might be going on with Oscorp, other than maybe some mismanagement, right? So we don't know if that world's Norman Osborn is a Green Goblin, if he's crazy, if he's sane. We don't know anything about that, right? So it's something very heavily to keep in consideration, right? We do know that some of their things that they make don't go right, and therefore villains happen. But it's not all Oscorp's fault. The intentions in the company are still very much not up in the public eye. So I was debating on whether or not to have Oscorp in here, because it really is like this is where the tech comes from, so this is what we're affiliated with. I don't know. I felt kind of weird about it, but Spider Army, Oscorp. Background. Penny is a person of Japanese heritage that lives in New York City in Earth 14512. This is an Earth that really isn't a lot of the ones we talked about with the Spider Society are 616 adjacent. 14512 isn't, and the creator's aim was to not have to stick to continuity, so they kind of started it over. Ultimately, we just see a lot of mech. We see a lot of mech stuff going on here as far as the superpowers go, and it is meant to actually mirror or pull from the plug suits. It's inspired by the plug suits from Neon Genesis Evangelion. I hope I'm saying that right. I love anime, so also this is there is a Spider-Man manga, but this is also based on anime, hard, like really hard. I'm a big anime fan, but I'm not an anime mech fan. So I haven't seen Neon Genesis Evangelion, so don't kill me if I'm saying that wrong, but Spider is based off of the plug suits from that. So I had to do a little bit of research as to what that was for this feature. Alright, who died? Because you can't be a superhero or supervillain without somebody dying, and in this situation, her father died. So we open to the world of Peni Parker with her father piloting the Spider suit, and him dying at her age of 9, which is when she inherits the suit. So that is that. So her father dies. Aunt May and Uncle Ben Uncle Ben is still alive. We're not really sure about Aunt May. Spoilers. Genetic coding. So, when her father dies, the reason why the 9-year-old is given all the power and things to jump into, have to work the Spider suit, is because the suit is run off of a genetic coding, so only her father's daughter, offspring, etc. could theoretically run the suit. So she had to be the one to move into it. That's as good of an explanation as we get. We don't know if Aunt May and Uncle Ben are related to her father or mother, but there is no... all we know is they also work for Oscorp, so we're not 100% sure. At the end of the day, super powerful suit needs to be inherited by somebody. She's the only one that can run it. She's 9, so she's really into the idea. Then there's a 5-year time jump. That's where we're at. So, genetic coding plus telepathic link. Very specific things needed to operate the suit. Really, the thing to take away from there is you can't just hop into the Spider suit and run it, right? You have those two things work together to allow Penny to run it. So without being Peni Parker, the Spider suit's essentially useless. Connections with music. My favorite thing that I want to bring up really bad. There is two things, right? So first off, the people that created Peni Parker and Earth 14512, writer was Gerard Way and artist was Jake Wyatt. So Gerard Way, I'm a big My Chemical Romance fan. I also on my unboxing videos, I unboxed Umbrella Academy #1, which Umbrella Academy and Nitro Squad are two big Gerard Way properties. But Gerard Way is the lead singer of My Chemical Romance. That's super cool. He is the creator that we've been talking about. Him and Jake are the two creators that we've been talking about this whole time. But I was trying to save the Gerard thing for a fun little thing. So if you didn't know it, Gerard Way is directly responsible for making Penny Parker. Also, Penny Parker has trouble concentrating, and she has to listen to music to be able to keep that going. I think that's also in the Into the Spider-Verse situation, but I find that very interesting because I myself need some sort of sound or something to concentrate on anything. So I vibe really hard with those connections with music, both My Chemical Romance and just to help for concentration. That is that. All right, moving on. So next up we do relatives, which relatives and relationships. Penny's not been in much, right? So you can make arguments that she's friends with Miles, but that's not really explored. You could also say Peter Parker, you could say Miguel O'Hara, all of those things because they are involved in Spider-Verse, but she operates as a heavy side character, so we don't actually see her much in those things. So the only relationships we can really draw from are May and Ben Parker, who are her aunt and uncle. Her parents are unnamed. So there's that. We don't know if she has a relationship with the Spider. It doesn't have a name to this date. And that's essentially where we're at with it, right? So she only has those two relationships. So let's talk about notable events. So, like with a few other Marvel Strike Force characters, today I will be going over the entirety of Penny Parker's storyline. There's nothing else as of this recording date. As I stated earlier, I believe that this will be expanded upon. The basis in which this world is created is extremely interesting, and I can see it being very marketable to my mech anime fans. So I don't see why this is all that's out there, especially since she's been around for a decade, which is pretty crazy to think about, but almost a decade. We've got a couple more months as of the recording date, but still. So, Edge of the Spider-Verse. So, essentially, this is how we're going to do this. This is the sandwich, right? I said we're not going to talk about Spider-Verse, and we're not gonna. She is just a side character. That's really it in Spider-Verse. If you want to hear about Spider-Verse, check out Frosty features Peter B. Parker, Ghost Spider, probably Miles. If I have a Miles Morales one and beyond there's a few. Spider Noir. You can hear all about the Spider-Verse thing. I think I've talked it to death. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk everything up to Spider-Verse, which the way her whole canon works is she's got an origin, Spider-Verse, Spider-Geddon, right? So that is it. These two stories are the only solo Penny stories that currently exist in canon that I'm aware of. So that's what we're gonna go over. So Edge of Spider-Verse. This is when we first Edge of Spider-Verse, as I said earlier, Edge of Spider-Verse #5 is the first time that we see Earth 14512, and it is the first time we are introduced to Penny Parker. So as I stated before, she was a 9-year-old when her father, who was piloting the spider suit, was killed, and she was due to the fact that this was made by Oscorp. Aunt May and Uncle Ben work for Oscorp and adopted Penny and said, hey, your dad's dead, get over it, you need to get in this suit. And Penny was like, heck yeah, I want to be a superhero. And then we jump 5 years in the future. Welcome to comic books. And that was all due to the genetics. 5 years later, so flash forward 5 years later, or SpongeBob, 5 years later, right? We see Mysterio, and this is an alternate universe of Mysterio. He's got it's definitely interesting. Everything looks like they're in, so they're mech suits, but like a pilot suit kind of thing. So all the villains and all the heroes. We've got Daredevil in this universe as well. Once again, it's not super expanded upon yet. I imagine it will get there, but we've only got like Mysterio, M.O.R.B.I.U.S, we've got Venom, we've got Daredevil, and that's essentially the entirety of our supers and super villains in this universe as of right now, right? So in this situation, we have Mysterio, and he's essentially in like a mech pilot suit, and he's still got the bull head, and he is in a giant eyeball flying through New York, and he's shooting these neuro gases to control people all over New York City. And we see Spider show up and absolutely and utterly wreck this dude. Just bust right through the orb, grabs Mysterio, kicks the crap out of him, and she's like, yeah, I'm Penny Parker, and this is how we freaking go. So she gets out of the mech suit after a successful day of butt kicking and goes to school. This is seriously as deep as this goes. It's one issue, right? So she's at school, and then all of a sudden Daredevil, who in this universe is known as D, shows up and is like, yo, I got some gangs to fight as a result of these neurotoxins. And she was also shot with the neurotoxin, but unaffected, right? So Daredevil's like, yo, I need your help to fight some gangs, homie. Let's go fight some gangs. And so she's like, yeah, let's go fight some gangs, right? So Daredevil pulling her out of school, and essentially they just kind of go on. I hate for that to be what it is, right? They go on to fight some gangs. One of the cool things that Gerard Way and well, he was a writer, so Gerard Way worked into this is a lot of her classmate names, and when her and Dee are fighting these gangs, the names of the people are named straight from anime. So there are different ones. I know there's one from like Gurren Lagann and some things like that, but all of the people they're fighting and interacting with are pulled from different mech-based anime, which is cool. It's a fun Easter egg, things like that. If you want to catch them all, read them. I don't play mech anime. I didn't bother to go through and pick them out because those Easter eggs mean very little to me. But some of you, that might be a pretty cool thing. But so they take out these gangs, and she finishes the fight, gets out of the spider suit, and is like, yo, that was pretty cool. I'm gonna subway home for some reason. And she's approached by Old Man Spider and Spider Ham for a proposition to help defend the spider totems against the inheritors. And then we're gonna flash forward because Spider-Verse happens, right? The inheritors are now dead, and our Spidey people that have survived this harrowing situation have gone back to their homes. So, as they are back in their home universes and such, we find Penny Parker back at school, having a just normal day in the life of a 14-year-old teacher, and she is approached by one of her classmates named Addie Brock. And Addie is like, hey, are you... You forgot where the camera was. The Spider. And Penny's like, no. Why would you ask me that? And Addie's like, well, Daredevil came and checked you out of the school, so if you were trying to hide anything, you didn't do a very good job. And Penny's like, get effed jabroni, I'm out of here. And leaves and is like, why the heck does this person know who I am? What's the what? What gives? And she ends up at Oscorp with Uncle Ben and Aunt May, and they are they're working on upgrades to the spider suit, when randomly she sees Addie walk by the door, and she's like, huh, why are you here? Why does she know my secret? I'm gonna follow her and figure out what's going on. Because when she walks by, Uncle Ben has left, and she's like, huh, this is really weird. And in following, finds that Uncle Ben and Aunt May had been working on a new project called Venom, since we are in this fun, Spiders SP //DR. Venom is VEN #M. So anyway, they have made a Venom suit that is there in case the spider suit fails. So Penny's like, wow, why is this thing? I don't need help. Y'all suck. And then all of a sudden, a giant monster attacks. And this is M.O.R.B.I.U.S. And in this version, M.O.R.B.I.U.S. is a power draining kind. He's still like a vampire, but he's giant. Much more monstrosity looking situation. And he's draining all of the energy from these different segments of these different types of machines and such. So Spider goes out and starts to fight this giant vampire. So Aunt May and Uncle Ben are like, yo, hey, this looks like that's not going super well. Do you want Venom's help? And Penny's like, heck nah, bro. I got this. Don't you worry about me. And, fun fact, she does not got this, right? She does not. And she starts getting the crap beat out of her by M.O.R.B.I.U.S. And then Ben's like, screw it. go Venom. And Venom goes out and is like, I'm here to save the day. And with the help of Venom, they too are able to turn the tide and to subdue M.O.R.B.I.U.S. But in the process, M.O.R.B.I.U.S. gets a hold of the Venom suit and infects it, drains the energy out of it, infects it in some kind of way. We're still not really sure because this is the end of the comics that we have of Peni Parker, right? It infects it in some kind of way, and essentially I wrote it down. So he's a power sucker, and he overloads the sim engine, which I'm assuming is an Easter egg for symbiote. So overrides the sim engine, the symbiote engine, and Addie no longer seems to have control of Venom. And so Aunt May shows up. Once again, everybody's in pilot suits because this is anime mech situation. So even though they're not riding in mechs, when they fix things, they're in a pilot suit. Aunt May shows up, and she's like, oh, I'm going to go fix this before the sim engine blows up. And when she jumps on the back of Venom and she's trying to fix it, and tendrils come out and assimilate May into the suit. So then Penny's like, no, May, what does that mean? And the suit starts acting on its own and starts being evil and starts trying to take over and attack things. So it becomes Venom versus Spider, and it is a very much a equal battle in pretty much every way, but Penny gets the advantage and takes him out and defeats Venom, standing over the top, and is like, all right, Addie, May, I'm gonna get you out of there. Opens the suit, and it's empty, right? And that's where we left off. So are they dead and in the suit? Maybe. We never saw them go anywhere. Are they in a different dimension? Maybe. We never saw them go anywhere. But as of this recording date, that's the end of that story. So it is assumed and implied that they were just assimilated into the suit some kind of way, but that's where we left the story. So as it goes along, maybe the Who Died section comes her father and Aunt May. We don't know. Yeah, cliffhanger, right? That's where we're at right now, right? And I imagine this will come back soon. But in the last 10 years, that is everything with Peni Parker in it, besides Spider-Verse. And once again, we talk about that and a lot of other features, so you can check that out on my channel. Power levels. Marvel Strike Force doesn't care much about power levels, but here on Frosty Features, we do know the way that this works. If you are a multiversal threat, you are not just a threat to your reality, but all realities. You could topple the multiverse at a whim. Universal means you are a threat to your reality, perhaps can then hop on over to another reality and end that one. Cosmic means you are a threat on a planetary scale on the small end, so you can take out planets, and with enough time, maybe things like a solar system or even a galaxy. Nuclear means you have power equal to that on the small end of a nuclear bomb, leveling things like small cities and up to a planetary body. Super Soldier means that you are beyond all capabilities of a human being, and you can take out things like a brick wall up to a city block, once again with enough time and power. Super Soldier means that is Super Soldier City means that you are a human being trained to the absolute and utter peak level of humanity, martial arts, strength, reflexes, etc. Here in the Marvel Universe, we see a lot of our secret agents, our mercenaries, ninjas, things like that. And finally, we have Greg. Greg is the name of the undead Asgardian that spawned in Marvel Strike Force by Hela and left to his own devices. Greg ain't nothing, right? So, in the event that I'm outside blowing snow off of my Arkansas driveway, because that happens all the time, and Greg's walking down the road, and Greg's like, hey, you got snow in my yard, Frosty. And I'm like, get effed jabroni, just like my girl Peni Parker did when she was talking to those other people, and Greg gets mad and attacks me, but I a high block with my leaf blower, and theoretically I could take out Greg because I'm equal to that of a normal human being. So, with all that being said, for the sake of argument, Greg is equal to that of an average human being. So, in the case of Peni Parker, Earth 14512, there's not much out there. As far as we can tell, even if you include the Spider-Verse movies and the comic books, there's a lot of potential that the suit can do that we're not aware of. there's just not enough content out there for us to be completely sure what its entire arsenal is. And there's the differences between the comics and the movies are quite substantial. Magnetized movement in the movies. It's much more computer based than it is like an Iron Man suit in the movies. It fixes a USB, etc. Whereas it's more of a combat mech suit, based like an anime in the comics. And really all we ever see it do are the things Spider-Man can do. So with that, judging by that still being sort of the biggest equivalent to Penny Parker and Peter Parker, it's probably pretty safe to assume that they're at a super soldier level due to the fact that Peter Parker's powers are based off these spiders that were trying to recreate the super soldier serum, which is Captain America, who is our baseline level for a super soldier person, right? So ultimately, I do believe that the spider suit could be something in the nuclear level in the event that we have more like laser, because in Into the Spider-Verse we have lasers, but there's nothing crazy. But if we had some sort of nuclear thing, a unibeam looking thing, we could go up somewhere in the nuclear situation. But with the current evidence that we're given, super soldier is a pretty safe assumption for the spider suit. Honestly, arguably, I would say that the current evidence of the spider suit is that it is such that it is in a lower level than our base level Peter Parker or a Miles Morales. A Venom blast to the back of that thing will stop it, right? Currently, as we go, so that's kind of where that is with that. So yes, and as far as the According to Scopely goes, I was really conflicted on what rating to give this. What we're gonna say is nice try. None of it's explicitly wrong. It's just, once again, and this was sort of the theme with Spider Society. It's all extremely generalized, and they don't actually really tell you much about the character. In this one, they tell a little bit about the character, but not really what's going on around them or anything like that. Just a base level. Oh, 9. Now she's 14. She fights crime and a robot, right? There's no meat there. We don't know, especially in the context of Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, the big thing is the uncle or the captain or whomever, the important person that dies. In this, it kind of points out that you just don't know there's no relationships. What is Aunt May and Uncle Ben? Who is her father? We don't even know who her father is in the comics either, but why was he in the spider suit? None of these things are brought up or announced. So maybe it's not their fault. I wanted to say, because I did want to say it was bad because there wasn't enough there. Comic book twisted because it's changed. There's not enough there, right? So at the end of the day, it's a nice shot, nice try. They could have maybe dived a little bit deeper, but as far as a 1-paragraph summary, it's all right. So that is what it is. And that was Frosty Features Penny Parker. I hope that you like it. Please let me know your favorite Penny Parker moments down in the comments, or if I got anything wrong, I'd like to hear that too. That's totally fine. Be sure to like and share this video here on YouTube. It doesn't cost you anything but a couple of clicks. And as a reminder, every Sunday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, I stream at the link above where we do Frosty Features live. I hope that you all have a fantastic week. And most importantly, y'all, stay cool.